She texted you 3 hours ago. You saw it. You had your phone in your hand. You just didn't respond yet. Maybe you got busy. Maybe you weren't sure what to say. Maybe you just needed a minute. But here's what she's doing in those 3 hours. She's rereading the text she sent you, wondering if it came across wrong. She's checking to see if you've been active anywhere. She's analyzing the last conversation you had, looking for clues. By hour 2, she's not just waiting for a reply. She's building an entire case in her mind about what your silence means. And by hour 3, she's already reached a verdict. This is not about insecurity. This is not about her being too emotional. This is about how the human brain is literally wired to fill silence with meaning. And if you don't understand this, if you think silence is neutral, you are going to keep losing women who actually care about you, and you won't even know why. So let's break this down, all the way down, because what's happening in that silence is a lot more complex than most people realize. Why silence is never empty. The brain hates uncertainty. That's not a metaphor. It's neuroscience. There's a region in your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, and its entire job is to detect when something is off, when expectations aren't met, when information is missing, and when it fires up, it creates the same kind of discomfort as physical pain. Think about that. Your silence isn't just absence. To her nervous system, it registers like something is wrong. Now, layer on top of that something called uncertainty aversion. Psychologists have found, again and again, that people consistently prefer a bad outcome they know is coming over, not knowing what's going to happen. Studies have shown people would rather receive a guaranteed electric shock than sit in a room not knowing if one is coming. That's how much the brain hates the unknown. So when you go quiet, no context, no heads up, no, "Hey, I'm swamped today," her brain doesn't go quiet too. It goes loud. It starts running scenarios. And because of something called negativity bias, the scenarios it runs first are the threatening ones. Not, "He's probably just busy." More like, "Did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? Why does this keep happening?" Here's what most people miss. She's not choosing to spiral. Her brain is doing what brains do. It's trying to protect her by preparing her for the worst possible explanation. That's evolution. That's millions of years of wiring. And your silence is the trigger. So, what do? You stop treating silence as a neutral default. You start treating it as a signal, because whether you intend it to be one or not, it already is. Even a quick, crazy day we'll talk later completely shuts down the uncertainty loop. You don't have to be available 24/7. You just have to be legible. There's a massive difference between those two things. The 3 types of silence, and why they hit differently. Not all silence is the same, and if you're going to understand what's actually happening when you go quiet, you need to understand the difference between these 3 types. The first is what I call circumstantial silence. This is when you're genuinely unavailable. You're in a meeting, you're sleeping, you're in a zone. The key characteristic here is that there's context. She knows you had a big presentation. She knows you work nights. She knows. When context exists, silence is tolerable. It's not comfortable, but she can rationalize it. Her brain has somewhere to put the uncertainty. The second type is ambiguous silence. This is the dangerous one. This is when there's no context, no recent friction, nothing to explain it. You're just quiet. This is the silence that launches 1,000 internal conversations, because ambiguity is the perfect breeding ground for catastrophizing. The story her brain writes about ambiguous silence is almost always darker than the truth, and that gap between the truth and the story she tells herself, that's where trust starts to erode. The third type is punishing silence. This one is different because it's intentional. It's the withdrawal of presence as a response to conflict or discomfort. Some men do this without even realizing it. They shut down, they pull away, They go quiet when things get heavy. And to the woman receiving it, this isn't just uncomfortable, it's destabilizing. Because now, silence has become a weapon, even if you never meant it that way. And once someone has learned that your silence can mean punishment, they will spend the rest of the relationship flinching every time you go quiet. Think about this. Every time you've gone silent after a disagreement, even if you genuinely just needed space, she might have learned that your silence means you're done, that you're pulling away, that she pushed too hard, and she will start shrinking herself to avoid triggering. That's silence again. So what do? Learn to distinguish which silence you're offering. Circumstantial silence needs no apology, just context when you can give it. Ambiguous silence needs to be minimized or explained. And punishing silence, you have to recognize it in yourself before it becomes a pattern she starts organizing her behavior around. When you need space, say so. I need a few hours to think is not weakness, it's honesty. And honesty is the only thing that actually quiets the noise in her head. What she's actually questioning. And it's not what you think. Here's where it gets really interesting. When a woman goes quiet in that uncertain space you've created, most men assume she's questioning the relationship. She's probably not, at least not at first. What she's actually questioning is herself. Am I too much? Did I come on too strong? Should I not have sent that? Was I being needy? That's the first wave. And it's brutal because it's self-directed. She takes your silence and turns it inward. Because women are socialized from a very young age to assume that if something feels off in a relationship, they probably caused it. That's not psychology, that's culture. And it means your silence doesn't just create uncertainty. It triggers self-doubt. Let me show you how this actually plays out. She sends you something light, a funny meme, a voice note, a simple question. You don't respond for 5 hours. When you do respond, it's fine. Everything's fine. But now there's a small residue of self-doubt sitting in her chest. Was that meme dumb? Did my voice sound weird? Is he interested in the things I find funny? It's small, but it stacks. And here's the compounding problem. Every time this happens, every time silence creates a moment of self-questioning, she doesn't just forget it when you respond. It goes into a mental file, and that file starts to shape how she shows up with you. She gets quieter, she edits herself more, she takes longer to respond to you too. Not because she's playing games, but because she's protecting herself from the exposure of caring too much about someone who might not care back equally. You lose her presence before you lose her, and men often don't notice until she's already halfway gone. She's still there, still texting, still showing up, but a version of her, the unguarded, spontaneous, fully herself version, that's the one who quietly left. So, what do? Be generous with your presence, not just your time. Those are different things. You can spend a whole evening with someone and give them no presence at all. Presence is what makes someone feel like they actually landed, like they got through. A specific response to something she said, a callback to something she mentioned last week. The small signals that say, I actually received you. Those are the things that keep the self-doubt from building, not grand gestures. Just consistency of attention. The attachment system. Why this isn't about insecurity. I want to address something head on because I know some of you are watching this thinking, this sounds like an anxious attachment issue. She needs to work on herself. And maybe that's part of it. But here's the thing. Dismissing her experience as just an attachment style problem is a way of making this entirely about her and nothing about you. And that's not honest. Here's the psychological reality. Every human being has an attachment system. It was formed in early childhood based on how consistently your caregivers responded to you when you needed them. If your needs were met consistently, you developed a more secure foundation. If they were met inconsistently, sometimes yes, sometimes no, never knowing, you developed what's called an anxious attachment style. You became hypervigilant to signals of withdrawal. And here's the cruel irony. Inconsistent response is actually more destabilizing than consistent rejection. Your brain can adapt to rejection. It cannot adapt to maybe. Maybe keeps it locked in a permanent alert state. And if you are someone who goes hot and cold, deeply engaged one day, quiet and distant the next, without meaning to, without realizing it, you are recreating that exact childhood dynamic for a woman whose nervous system already knows how to spiral in that environment. You're not doing it on purpose, but impact doesn't require intention. Now, is it her responsibility to work on her triggers? Yes. And is it your responsibility to not be a person who accidentally activates them constantly? Also, yes, both things are true at the same time. Think about this. If you knew that your driving was unpredictable enough to make passengers anxious, and someone showed you evidence of that, you wouldn't just say they need to work on their fear of cars. You'd probably try to drive more smoothly, not because their anxiety controls you, but because you're a person who cares about the experience of being with you. So, what do? Start paying attention to your own patterns. Are you more available at the beginning of connection and then gradually pull back? Do you go quiet specifically when things are going well and you start to feel the weight of it? Do you disappear after vulnerability, either hers or yours? These are patterns worth knowing about yourself because she's not imagining them. She's reading them. She just doesn't have the language to tell you that's what she's doing. The silence after vulnerability. This one changes things. Of all the silences we've talked about, this is the one that does the most lasting damage. She told you something real. Maybe she told you about something she's afraid of. Maybe she shared something from her past she doesn't talk about often. Maybe she told you how she was feeling about the two of you. Not in an ultimatum way, just openly. And then you went quiet. Not ghosting. Not leaving. Just quiet for longer than felt okay. Here's what that silence communicates, regardless of what you meant by it. It says, what you just shared was too much. And once a person believes that vulnerability leads to silence, they stop being vulnerable completely. They put the most important parts of themselves behind glass. Still there, still visible in outline, but untouchable. And you will spend the rest of the relationship talking to a curated version of them. This is one of the most common ways that relationships that start with real depth eventually become shallow and frustrating. Not because the people changed, but because vulnerability got punished by silence enough times that it stopped being offered. Let me be specific here. The silence after vulnerability doesn't have to be long to be damaging. Even a pause that feels too long, a few minutes in a text conversation after something heavy was shared, a shift in energy when something real came up, can send the signal that realness is unwelcome. She will. Notice, she will file it, and she will recalibrate. The antidote is not complicated. You don't have to have the perfect response. You don't have to fix anything or have deep insight. You just have to acknowledge that you received it. That means a lot that you told me that. I hear you. Thank you for saying that. That's it. You're not agreeing to anything. You're not making promises. You're just confirming that the message got through, that she wasn't too much, that the door is still open. That's what she actually needs to hear in that moment, not a solution. Reception. How to break the silence pattern without drama. If you've recognized yourself in any of this, if you can see a pattern of silence that's been slowly eroding something real, you might be wondering how to course correct without making it weird, without having some big conversation that feels forced or performative. Here's the thing about changing a relational pattern. You don't have to announce it. You just have to do it differently, consistently, and let the new pattern speak for itself. Start small. The next time you're going to be unavailable, say so before you disappear. Not a check-in, just a heads up. Going into something today, talk later. 3 seconds. Completely changes the dynamic. When she shares something, respond to what was actually said before you say anything else. Not a general, that's cool, or yeah, for sure. Reference a specific thing. Show her your brain actually processed what she said. This is the difference between being heard and being acknowledged, and she will feel the difference instantly. And when you need space, because you will, that's human, use the most underrated phrase in any relationship. I'm not going anywhere, I just need a little time to think. Those 8 words do extraordinary work. They separate the need for space from the threat of abandonment. They give her brain somewhere to put the uncertainty. They keep the door open while you step back from it for a moment. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Most women are not asking you to be endlessly available. They're asking to not be left in the dark. Those are fundamentally different requests. One is about your time, which is finite. The other is about your intention, which costs nothing to communicate. Silence has always carried meaning. Long before texting, long before phones, the way a person went quiet, the way they withheld their presence. People have always known that absence communicates. What's changed is the speed. The constant connectivity means that every gap is now visible. Every silence is now measurable. And in that environment, the old logic of, I didn't say anything bad, so I didn't do anything wrong, just doesn't hold anymore, because she's not listening to what you say in the silence. She's listening to what the silence says about how much she matters. And if that silence happens often enough, stays long enough, follows vulnerable enough moments, she stops wondering what's wrong with you and starts wondering what's wrong with her. And a woman who is quietly wondering what's wrong with her is a woman who is already starting to leave. Not in a dramatic way, not with a speech, just gradually. Pulling the most precious parts of herself back behind the glass where they're safe. You don't get those parts back by doing something grand later. You keep them by being legible now, by being the person whose silence she never has to decode, by being so consistent in your presence, not perfect, not constant, just consistent, that she never has to build a case in her head about what your quiet means. Because when she trusts your silence, when she knows from experience that your quiet is just quiet and not withdrawal, not punishment, not a verdict on her worth, that's when she actually relaxes into the relationship. That's when she stops performing and starts living in it. And that version of her, the one who doesn't. Have to guess, who doesn't have to protect herself, who shows up without the armor on. That's who you were trying to be with in the first place. Don't lose her to something you never even meant to say.